Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Karen's Stamp Pad. It is not a bad day outside, and after I'm finished this, I'm going to go and do some grocery shopping. But today I wanted to come on and show you some cards using the New Horizons bundle, and it comes with this stamp set and let's see and some dies, so you'll see some of those in the projects that I'm doing. I am also using the Oceanfront stamp set. I think they go really well together, and I've seen a lot of people using them together. It's quite nice. There's another bundle that some people are using as well, with the deer, and I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. Oh, Groves, the Grassy Groves bundle. So anyway, I kind of took to this because I am from the coast. I've lived on both coasts, in Nova Scotia and in British Columbia, and it just kind of reminds me of the ocean, and it called out to me. I love the simplicity of the cards. It kind of makes me think of home. So, and I know a lot of people on both coasts that would appreciate these cards. So what I'm going to do is, this is the first card we're going to do, and I'm going to show you how easy it is if you're a simple stamper just to use the paper, and I will show you the paper. I have it, and cutting the paper and using the cardstock, and you can stamp if you want. If not, the paper just speaks for itself, and you can write your own sentiment on the inside or even the outside. So that'll be nice and simple for beginner stampers. This one is going to be the second one we're doing, and it is stepped up just a little bit. You do need a die cut machine, and die cut and emboss machine, and we do a little more stamping. And then this one is going to be the last one that we do, and this requires a few more items. So we're going to be doing stamping. I'm going to use my water painter. It's like a paintbrush, but it holds water in it, and put some twine on. Again, the die cut emboss machine, and yeah, and so stay with me, and I'll show you how it's done. So here is some. I just had them in my hand, and I don't know what I've done with them. Tucked them away in the drawer. Okay, so this is the New Horizons designer series paper, and it is double-sided, but you can see it just kind of looks like landscape. Maybe the fog has set in and you just see the blurred image in the background. This one almost looks like houses with snow on it, and a beautiful morning sky or evening sky. Excuse me. There's quite a few different ones, some of them with more greenery, and some that look like the ocean with the trees and mountains in the background. So this designer series paper really is beautiful, and you can do so much with it. So I have pre-cut everything. This is one that I've used in the first card, and I've cut it down. So let's get this out of the way. I am going to need it. Not too far away. And I guess before we get started, I wanted to just give you a little update on Stampin' Up. Just wanted to, for those of you who have been trying to order a paper trimmer, they are back in stock. The paper pumpkins, which were delayed due to shipping issues and stuff, usually get shipped out just after the 10th when cutoff is, but they were shipped out on the 19th yesterday. So that's great. I've got a couple coming in. I will show you the paper pumpkin this for last month, and it is Valentine's themed, and I'm looking forward to that. So hear my dogs whining. They're locked out. Okay, now you're gonna have to bear with me for the measurements because I didn't write them down, and I've used eighths this time. So I will try to rhyme them off the top of my head. So what I've done with this paper is I have actually cut it in half so that I could use two. Now, you'll see I got 2 cards out of it. And so these, it's 6 by 6 paper. So I've cut it in half at 3 inches. And I have cut it down to 5 4/8. So 5.5. Have a look. 5.5 is, no, not 4/8, 3/8. Sorry, 5 3/8. And 4/8 is 5.5. Okay, so my cardstock is your regular 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This one, I made it so it flipped up. If you want to do that instead of this one, you can cut, it is 8.5 by 4 1/4, scored at 5.5. So whichever way you choose to do it. Okay, so we've got that. Now, one of the designer series paper, and I've used it all out of this package, so I didn't show you. It is this designer series paper. And when I cut it down, I ended up with a couple of pieces that were 1.5 inches by 1.5 by 6 when I cut it off. So I cut it down to the 5 3/8, and then I cut it in half at 3/4. So I ended up with 2 pieces. And what I'm going to do is I am going to glue those on the outside. And the reason I chose that was to use up the scraps, but also to because there wasn't a lot of design, but a little bit of subtle color. It looked, you know, this image didn't have to blend in with anything. So I'm just going to use my liquid glue to hold that down. That one might be. So before I do, I'm going to take my foam folder because this is popping up a bit. And I'm just going to burnish this so it lays a little flatter. Okay. Give it a good squeeze. It's gummed up in there. Maybe not. Just wanted to come out the sides instead. I'm not having any luck with that, so I'll play with that in a minute. I'm going to use my my adhesive runner, and so I'm just going to make place it so that I have an even border on the top, bottom, and side. I'm going to do the same with the other one. This has little subtle hues of pink and blue. There we go. All right. So I'm going to take this piece, which is, like I said, I cut in half, and I give you the measurements, 3 and 5 3/4. So this one is cut just a little bit bigger. I'm going to adhere those two. So this is, Night of Navy cardstock, and I wanted something. There is Night of Navy in here, and I really think that is one of the colors that pop. So it just makes for a stunning card base. So then what I'm going to do is, you can see that it kind of covers this up, but because I have a border around this, it makes it look like there's the border here too. So I'm going to adhere that. Pull it a little closer, I can't see. Okay, so there you have it. Now if you have stamps, great, you can stamp on it. If you don't, I think the card just kind of stands alone. So this is for very, very new stampers. You just need some cardstock, designer series paper, and some glue, and you have your card. And see how quick and easy that is, and you can make multiple cards, and then just write on the inside if it's happy birthday, miss you, thinking of you, thank you, whatever you'd like. But that is, I think, a pretty outstanding card. So, and we'll put that back in its envelope. On mine, I put, but I chose not to stamp on this one, just to show you how easy it is to put together a beautiful card for without a lot of supplies. So you could stamp, if you do have some stamps, whatever sentiment you want on here. I have this stamp set, so I put the birds on that. I also stamped the birds on the inside. And then I'm going to write a sentiment, or I'm going to write a little note. So then the next one, let's see, this one, I loved this this piece of designer series paper. So pull that out. I now have glue on my fingers. And this one I've pre-cut some stuff, so it is again using the cut and emboss machine, and pull in my paper snips, and maybe I take your pick tool to open up my glue a bit. Okay, just doesn't want to cooperate. So this one, we are going to do some stamping. I've already pre-cut everything. And the New Horizons bundle has the dies. It has a die for two sides of this fence. There is another side, but I'm just using one. It has some greenery that you can cut out, which I have, and I've used pieces of scraps. And I've cut the greenery out of the back side of this piece that we just used has the greenery here. So in other cards, I've cut out with one of the dies some water and used that in some of the cards that I've made. And this I've used the greenery to cut out of the back, or you could just cut it out of cardstock if you wanted. So this piece I have already cut down. I've got 2 centers. I don't need that. Okay, so I have cut this one so it goes sideways. So again, this is 8.5 by 4.25 and scored at 5.5. And so it's going to lay this way. There we go. Now my piece of, I've got a piece that's going to go on the front, and that is cut at 4 by 5.25, so that we have a little bit more of this beautiful Blackberry Bliss paper. Now this is my favorite color. So, and Night of Navy running in second. And the inside I've cut the same at 4 by 5.25. So I am just going to grab a new glue so that I'm not sitting here fighting with it. Give me a second. I just get rid of this. Okay. So there we go. So I'm just gonna, that one's coming out really good. I'm just going to glue this piece of designer series paper. Get rid of that little bit. Use that for something else. And, oops, wrong way. Want the glue up. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? Sorry. Messed that up. I'm going to just put it here. And it should come off. So I'm going to stamp it first. It's getting ahead of myself. So now I'm going to use the Oceanfront stamp set, and it has some rocks. It has, you could use this as sand or water if you'd like. And I am going to use a couple pieces out of there. So let's just put my piece on. I'm going to pull in some crumb cake. And I'm going to use some soft suede. No, yes, soft suede. It's a little bit darker. So the first thing I did is just, now this you could use using your Stamparatus, which probably would have been a good idea for me, but These are photopolymer stamps and they are easier to see. Okay. So I've done a couple. Then I am going to pull in some soft suede and just darken it up just lightly. There. Okay. Now this set also has sand, which I'm going to use. And I'm going to stamp in soft suede just down here. All right. Pull in my rocks. My smaller ones. I'm going to do in a crumb cake. There we go. Okay. So now we have some. Now this will all come together. It kind of looks a little blotchy right now, but I've got some grass or leaves, whatever you'd like to call it, and I'm going to stamp those in Mossy Meadow. Okay, just down here. Again over here. There we go. I want to just see it a little bit from, I mean, you could just leave it like that. But I'm going to put the fence in, so I'd like to see a little bit of it poking up from the fence. And I've done it in white because it just kind of stood out a bit more than if I did it in crumb cake, like the other card. And I want to see the greenery. I could put more. So what I've done is taken my liquid glue and I've put some glue on either side, just on the first and the last post, and then I put that down and I made a little bit of a bend, so these are standing up a bit. It's curved. fold those on. So it gives it a little bit of dimension. Okay, now I'm going to take some of my greenery and I'm going to just put that. Now I've got two pieces. Let's see which side. Yeah, this one's going to go over here. Okay. Put a little bit of liquid glue so I can play with that. Hi, Margaret Ann. Thanks for jumping on. I'm using the new Horizons Designer Series paper in the stamp sets with the Oceanfront. And I'm going to put that on. So the only thing you missed was I did a card with just the Designer Series paper, just for brand new stampers, so they don't, don't need an awful lot of supplies. Okay. There we go. And I'm going to glue this one down. All right. So with this bundle, there are some, let's see, no, not iridescent pearls. I don't know what happened to the, I can't remember what they're called, but they look like little rocks, these little gemstones. So I'm going to just put a couple of those over here just to cover up. All my little pieces. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So the next what we're going to do is just grab a sentiment. And I thought, because we have the birds on here, that just stamping the sentiment instead of popping it up on a punched out piece of paper. So I'm going to use, because this makes me think and makes me think of home, I am going to put thinking of you and stamp it on there. Okay, and I'm going to do it in Memento Black. Okay. Good. And let me see. That way, and I need my birds. I do. There they are. Back in the case and you will find them. Okay. I've done 2 sets. Up to you. There we go. Move that out of the way. Actually, before I put it away, should still be sticky. Adhere that. So there we've got our front. Looks just a little bit different, but that's okay. And then the inside. Stamp our inside, and again with the birds up in the corner. Our envelope. Might as well just do it all while we've got it out. Okay, and where's my lid? And then I've pulled in from the On the Horizon stamp set some of the grass that grows along the shoreline. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp this. I ordered 2 in January, Margaret Ann, so I could have some for this quarter, but I had it expedited because I was worried about the shipping. And there on my envelope. So now we're ready to put this together. Okay, so there we have it. We have simple stamping on the front. Just use the DSP standing on its own. Stepped it up a bit with some die cuts and layering of the stamping. And so that's the second one done. Now, let me close this up. Now we are going to do this one. So this I used Sahara Sand cardstock, and like the first one, the measurements will still be the same. Maybe not. So what I've done is this, let's see, pull it out, the piece of cardstock. Let me just clean up my area just a little bit. And okay, so Sahara Sand, it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. And I have a piece of, it's a 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. And what I did was I used the embossing folder, the Bark 3D embossing folder, and I embossed that because it kind of looks like a little wavy, you know, the water. So that's going to go there. Now this piece, another piece, sort of the same idea as the first card, is the soft suede again, and it's 2 3/4 by 2 3/4 by 5 4/8 or 3/8. Sorry, yeah, 4 3/8. That's going to go on there. And then I have a piece of watercolor paper that we are going to use. And your standard inside, which is 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to put these pieces together, and I am going to keep this, and we will work with that in just a second. So use my liquid glue, glue this down. I figured I better go out and get some groceries. We're getting low, and it seems that the truckers have the borders all closed off, so I might need some food before everybody goes out scrambling and buys it all up. This on the inside. I probably should have stamped on it first, but we'll just make sure that we don't mess it up. All right, I will glue that on. Now I gotta take the kids to the outlet mall. They've got some good sales going on at Urban Kids, and buy one get two free. So they can all use some new clothes. All right, I'm just going to put that aside for now, and I'm going to pull in my piece of watercolor paper. So what I've done is there is, again, that that stamp that could be used as sand or water, and I have used these pardon me, Sahara sand. And I kind of put it on an angle and stamp that. Now that's very light, so I'm going to go over it again. And it doesn't matter if I don't get it exact, although I'm going to pull it a little closer so I can try. There we go. Okay. And again with the sand. Okay. There we go. Now there's another stamp that I'm going to use. Ink it up really well. And I'm going to stamp up here. And this just kind of makes it look like the sky or the other side of the beach. There we go. And I'm not too worried that it's lighter. I'm going to put stamp the birds up there and my sentiment. So I pulled in a sentiment for, of course, I was thinking of my mom, so I missed, and she's still on the island, my brother. A sentiment, miss you. I miss the beach and I miss her. Just want to make sure I've got enough, but not too much. There we go. Okay, so this is where the watercolor or the water painter comes in. So I'm going to pull in my Night of Navy, close up my Sahara sand for now. I think I don't really need that anymore. And so if you take a small block and put it in there, you see you've got some ink. On. Now this is watercolor. Oh, my hands are just full of ink. Watercolor or water in the painter, and just squeeze a little bit and you get some of that to work with. So what I've done is I'm taking the sky and the sandy beach and I'm making my own water. Just using the aqua painter. Now there is a stamp in this set that it's hiding, that I could use. It looks like water, but just to line it up and stuff seemed a little much, so this works just as well. There. So clean that. Okay. Now I'm going to stamp my birds. Again. And I'm going to do that instead of in black this time. I am going to do it in the blue. In Night of Navy. I'm going to push too hard. Too much ink on this. And not hard enough. Okay. Oh, right on. Yeah. I like the water painters. Oh. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in my mossy meadow again, and I'm just going to stamp some grass. Not as dark as my original, but that's okay. So now I'm going to bring in my my fence. I need to put these back in. I'm going to lose them. Okay. Where is everything? There we go. So this time I cut the fence out of the Sahara sand instead of the white. And let's glue it down. Okay. Now I cut this, and I just put part on this side and then the rest on the other side underneath the stamped part. There we go. Okay, oops, maybe not enough glue. It's all stuck to my fingers. So we'll cut that off. Now, there's some twine in the catalog. I can't remember what this is called. It's not exactly the twine, but you can use either. And I've taken this and wrapped it around a couple of times. Check it under and then tie it in a knot. Just kind of holds it all together. Sticking to my fingers. There we go. And I'm just going to trim that up. Okay. Even it up, pull it down a bit. There we go. And if it's too loose on the back, you can put a piece of tear and tape adhesive just to hold it in place. But I think that's tight enough. And then I'm going to bring in my card base that we put together already. And this is going to go in the center. Now it, just looks like, I don't know, it's just so simple stamping and stuff, but I love it. It just kind of reminds me of the beach. So that's, put some glue on here. I need to hold this down. The water paper is a little thick and it tends to curve or warp. There we go. Okay. So we've done the inside. We can stamp with whatever you'd like. But again, I think just because of the stamp sets being what they are, I'm using the same stamps for the insides and the envelopes, and pretty much throughout. It's a little dark. Okay. Clean that off. Bring in my mossy meadow again. Just kind of gives it finished look, right? And I'm going to do the same on my envelope again. You could change it up. There's other grasses in the stamp set. In the Oceanfront stamp set. This one is from the on the Horizon. So that's that finished, and my envelope finished, and so there we go. You know, so simple. Let me just put these away, grab the other cards, and wow, this was a little bit longer than my usual posts. Okay, so there's the other card, and I put that one in the envelope, and the simple one with no stamping, just the just having the designer series paper stand on its own. So let me just take one of these away. There you go. You have your 3 finished projects. It's very simple. Stepped up just a little bit, but still using the designer series paper and stamping. I guess that one should have been my 3rd one. This one was more just stamping and well, with water painter. I guess they're about the same. So one's not easier than the other, and it's not harder. So thanks for joining me, and I didn't think I needed this stamp. I love it. I love it. Margaret Ann, it just reminds me of home because I'm from, I was born on the East Coast, and I've lived on the West Coast. I was there almost 30 years before I moved here to Alberta. So anyway, yeah, it makes me miss my family and my friends on both coasts. And anyway, I just loved it. It brought me home. So I think you're from the coast too, aren't you? The East Coast. Anyway, thanks for joining me, Margaret Ann. And I will see you again next week. I'm gonna try to find something else to do that, and I'm not sure. But you know, if you like the video, please you know, like or share. And if you need anything, go to my my online store and use this house code. And if you need a demonstrator and you don't have one, I'd be happy to help you out. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week. Yeah, you are from New Brunswick. I thought so. There's a few people I've noticed are from back there. I was born in Fredericton. See you Sunday, Margaret Ann. I look forward to it. So thanks for joining me, and I will see you next week.